It's Waxing Lyrical, baby.
Hello, Waxers, and welcome to Waxing Lyrical with Mainz and Dutts. I'm your host, Mainz, and my colleague in the Danger Zone in Rainford. It's Mr. Neil Dutton. How are we, Neil?
Happy Turkey Day to any American followers we have, and it's Thursday to everyone else.
Well, it's technically Wednesday, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. We are recording on Wednesday instead of our usual Thursday slot, given that it's Turkey Day, and we will want to be watching the American football as much as all of the Americans. So we are recording today. As per usual, though, we won't really focus on the Thanksgiving games
because the
first two are especially poo. I did the touchdown review last night, and I am absolutely telling people that they should be watching the Egg Bowl, Mississippi State versus Ole Miss, especially if they are what I describe as Kiffin curious like myself, rather than Saints Bills as well. But yeah, we will be focusing mainly on the weekend games in the fantasy style, although we are going Thanksgiving heavy in our what are we thankful for in the NFL style. Neil's going to pick through his team and one NFL specific one. I am just going to do two NFL specific ones, and then we're also going to do things that we're not thankful for and wish would fuck off.
Do you think, just a quick question, do you think Americans know that you're allowed to have turkey whenever you want?
Well, you say that like the rest, like the United Kingdom believes that you can have turkey any day other than the 25th of December to basically New Year, because you're having it as leftovers. So turkey is a seasonal bird, quote unquote. Do you know what I mean? You only have it at Christmas or Thanksgiving and Christmas if you are American. So yeah, no, I don't believe they do. But I also noticed wildly that a lot of them are picking macaroni and cheese as an excellent side to go with their turkey dinner. That's wild. I mean, I like mac and cheese, don't get me wrong. I'm not sure
that's
I want
a
it
meal
with...
by itself.
Yeah, exactly, but I don't want it with like gravy and stuff. But, whatever floats your boat, I guess, America.
I mean, friend of the pod and, general all-round legend, Dave Damashek, always goes on about how good stuffing is. And as I point out to him, we can have stuffing, A, most Sundays, but B, we can go into a carvery and get it any time we want.
Yeah, they're not a roast dinner country. I think that's fair to say. That's never really been they don't roast their potatoes, if you know what I mean. Like, that's not a thing for them. Whatever. That's whatever floats your boat, I guess. Like, but we'll see. But anyway, lots of noise of us talking. Let us get on to what we're thankful for in Plugged Into the Mainz. So it was Neil's choice this week, and he decided that he wanted to talk about things he was thankful for. He said one for your team and one as an NFL fan, as I am at the moment in divorce proceedings with the Washington football team. In many respects, I decided it probably wasn't best to do that. So what I am doing... It's complicated, yeah. That's what my Facebook status says. So what I'm doing is two NFL ones. So Neil's going to do his two first, and I will do my two. And then we're going to also look at one thing each that we're not thankful for and wish would fuck off. Right, Neil. One thing you are thankful for as a Philadelphia Eagles fan, please.
I may not like it from a philosophical point of view. I may be morally opposed to its actions and activities. However, I am thankful that for the first time in 3-4 years, the Philadelphia Eagles offense has an identity. This is what it is. This is what it does. If you don't like it, stop it.
Fair.
Obviously, it took a few weeks to get here. At the start of the season, Coach Sirianni decided he was just going to run an offense that didn't seem to suit the skills of A, the players in general, but B, the quarterback specifically. Now they're running an offense that seems to suit the pieces they've got, and it seems to be working. Now, people are complaining that Jalen Hurts isn't passing the ball an awful lot, and when he does pass, he's throwing it to Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. Yeah.
True, both facts.
Again, yeah. Anyone who is complaining about this, though, go and watch every single one of Jalen Reagor's plays from the last season and tell me why you think he should get the ball more. So I'm thankful that 4 weeks after Nick Sirianni came out with his bizarre soil analogy, something seems to be growing.
You should be thankful, as I have the Philadelphia Eagles schedule in front of me. Brace yourself, people. Giants, Jets, football team. Giants, football team, Cowboys. If this team does not go a minimum of 10-7, something has gone drastically wrong.
Yeah, Number Fire's NERD metric, nerd, has the Eagles with a 49.7% chance of making the playoffs.
At 5-6 right now. Wild, that really, when you think about it, but good on them. Good on them. Neil, give me one thing you are thankful for as an NFL fan.
I'm thankful that the wall that's coming, but it hasn't come yet, for Travis Kelce. The world's upside down. The too deep shell has destroyed fun in the NFL. But Travis Kelce is still the one thing you can rely on when it comes to tight ends in fantasy football. I'm thankful for him.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's tough to argue. I'm not going to dwell on it because one of my thankful things is actually similar or has a similar concept to that. So I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna give you two things. I am thankful for Justin Herbert and the possibility he may save a franchise. I shared a stat with you, Neil, that Justin Herbert has led the most winning drives in the NFL this season. 5. We've watched the NFL for a very long time. The San Diego Chargers don't go on winning drives. They go on drives to try and score and then don't. To have a player who plays for said Chargers who seems to get them over the line rather than agonisingly close is super awesome. He also is great to watch. I think I shared a throw with you in the game against Pittsburgh, which was frankly obscene. Is he perfect right now? No. But am I happy that he's in the NFL and playing? Absolutely. And I hope that continues? Yes, I do.
I think Mark Schofield calls them this friggin' guy throws.
Yeah, like if you look at it, like, but most quarterbacks in the NFL can throw it 30 yards, yes, but the effort that they throw it is different dependent on the arm talent. Justin Herbert threw this like a laser, like he wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah, like
such is life.
Flicking the ash of a cigarette.
Correct. Neil, the other thing I'm happy and thankful for is that we are seeing parity on both sides of the ball. Too deep shell nonsense, or as I like to call it, defenses actually making a challenge to offensive schemes to stop them, and at present it is working. Now, have offenses stopped scoring points? No. But I do believe, as we all thought at some point last season, that the teams would just score 50 points forever. The Chiefs would always score 50 points. Josh Allen would always score 50 points. And everyone can laugh till the cows come home about, all they've done is put an additional man deep and now they're all confused. Yeah, and it's working, and I don't know where that's a problem. So I am thankful that defenses are making a comeback, because although offense is more fun to watch, I don't need to watch basketball. I do need defenses who can make, stops every now and again.
It's so weird because, see, 20 years ago I came into the NFL and everyone was playing Tampa 2. It was the in vogue. And I remember Nick Halling, broadcasting legend, changed my first nappies, as it were, watching the NFL, said, how do you stop cover 2? You run it. You run them out of it.
Correct.
This was 20 years ago. But now you see these... It's quarterbacks and it's offensive coordinators. Yeah, we know. This is what we want. But they're so impatient that they don't want 10 play drives, unless you're Kyle Shanahan, in which case he gets off on a 28-minute first drive and got 3 points for it. Gee, thanks, Kyle. They don't want to do it. They want to hit big plays. Well, run the ball, dump it off to the intermediaries, and run them out of it, and that'll take the two. They'll have to bring someone in the box to stop the run, and then you can take your shot. But teams are so impatient. They can't do it. Tell you what, to quote Wayne Brady, read a book, people.
Yeah.
Go and find a copy of Blood, Sweat and Chalk by Tim Layton, and he can talk you through Tampa 2 and Cover 2, and take a look at it and think, I know we can beat this.
But I think the thing is, Neil, what happened? This is always has been a game of chess where someone makes a move and it takes a while for the other team to figure out what to do next, right? And they've figured out what to do next. And what will eventually happen is someone will say, okay, we're going to run the ball, or multiple teams will run the ball, or whatever they will do, and this will make it better. And then the defence will have to come up with something else, and we'll all go, Tampa 2, what a complete and utter waste of time. Which 5 years ago, if you said, we played Tampa 2, people would have just laughed. Like, why are you playing Tampa 2? Do you know what I mean? This is how the world works, and I'm glad that it does work like this.
You'd think that it wouldn't take intensive tape study and, geeks, for want of a word, for the quarterback approaching under centre to see two safeties playing on Mars, to say, I'm going to kill this, we're going to run the ball. It's not a... this isn't a... it's not like the Wildcat. It's not something you've never seen before. It's like, I think they had safeties, but they were so deep, I couldn't say for certain. So should we run it more?
Yeah, but you need to have running backs. You need to have an offensive line who wants to run, and you have to have running plays that work. Not all these things are available to all the teams, because for the majority of the past, decade, we've been told, quote unquote, that running is bad. Now, running isn't bad. It's just not the most efficient way of doing things at certain points, and that's all we're saying.
Yeah. It's not bad. It just doesn't matter.
Neil, what are you not thankful for, and we should fuck off?
This is one of the most violent gladiatorial sports in Christendom. One of our friends said today that sometimes he still feels guilty about the fact that we take pleasure in watching a game that can affect people mentally in the way that it does. It's a violent sport. Now, I'm not saying I don't watch it for the violence. I watch it for the strategy and for the big plays and the highlights. Take your emphasis on taunting and shove it up your arse. Because if my kids are going to be upset because a professional athlete pointed at another man as he crossed a white line of paint, they shouldn't be watching sport. If this is your point of emphasis, but you can't spot illegal men downfield on every play, you can't spot holding on every play, you can't spot helmet-to-helmet kill shots on the sideline on a regular basis, but you will not have pointing or spiking of footballs, get another job.
The thing I don't understand, and nobody has articulated well to me, is why. Like, if there was and I don't think of the kids, that's what Twitter's telling me is the reason, right? Like that, I'm not having it. So what is the reason that someone has told me? Because there are quite what I would define as quite intelligent, well-educated, serious football people who are dying on this hill, and I don't know why, because I don't see it as a problem. I don't see how Edwards-Helaire pointing at the Cowboys linebacker values 15-yard penalty. Someone needs to explain that to me. When I saw I think it was Cam Hayward on the deck punch Justin Herbert in the stomach for no penalty. maybe it's just me, but one of them is considerably worse than the other. I think, in my opinion, we don't have to like, roughing the passer. Don't have to like it, but I understand the logic of the penalty. Right, it is to protect their most valuable assets at all costs. Do I hate it when a defensive lineman goes to swat a pass, misses the ball, and accidentally taps the quarterback on the head and gives away a 15-yard penalty? Yes, I do. Do I understand why that penalty is there? Yes, I do. I have no idea why someone believes that pointing at another player when going in and scoring, which is, fun, in my opinion, is worth 15 yards. As I put on Twitter last week, Neil, if I would never be allowed to play sport in America if they're not having taunting, because I was playing five-a-side with dads and lads yesterday, and I told a lad to behave, a 14-year-old lad to behave himself because he tried to take me on. That's 15 yards in the NFL.
Yeah, you're allowed. You are expelled from the game if you incur 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. Okay, so I could be expelled from the game if I point at someone and if I take my helmet off on the field. Okay. Just to show that we have our priorities right here, if someone gets flagged twice for roughing the passer in the same game, why is he allowed to continue? He's clearly a dirty player, but he can stay on and keep roughing the passer. I don't want to name names, but why is Jadeveon Clowney still allowed to play in the NFL? Why is Derek Barnett allowed to play in the NFL when literally all they seem to do is incur roughing the passer penalties? But I'm going to point at you after I've just scored because I'm better than you at this moment. It's a farce.
At this moment, and the thing is, if you don't like it, then just stop them the next time, right? And that's fine. Or you do yours, whatever it is, and then you do. I don't know, Neil.
I mean, it's this thing as well, and it was quite fun at the time. But seriously, I'm fed up with it now. Team gets an interception, whole defence runs and takes a photo by the camera. That's taunting. Aaron Rodgers screaming, "I can own you" to the crowd. That's taunting. Cam Newton takes his helmet off and says, "I'm back." 15-yard penalty.
There's probably a difference between Aaron Rodgers and Cam Newton, but I can't think of it off the top of my head now, so I'm just going to move on. Things I hate in the NFL and need to fuck off are coaches of either offense or defense, or head coaches who are dogmatic and have decreed in their infinite wisdom that regardless of what personnel they have a way of playing and refuse to do anything else.
Do you have examples?
I have hundreds of them.
I have hundreds of them. Sheet Merrill? Yep.
I have a hot take on Pete and Russ, to be honest, because I'm not 100% sure this is a Pete problem. Because if I keep on giving you different offensive coordinators from different schemes and we still run exactly the same thing, has anyone ever thought that maybe it was Russell Wilson's fault?
So you're saying that Russell Wilson is Kevin Peterson?
This is a man who believes he can cure concussions by fucking drinking water and didn't sleep basically for 5 weeks because he was, flexing his finger 19 hours a day. You define what you think I think about him and Kevin Peterson, and I'll just leave it at that. But don't get me wrong, when you give 3 first-round picks for him to be a Philadelphia Eagles player next year, I won't be very happy. But I look at someone like Matt Nagy. I look at Gus Bradley. I look at a multitude of other ones who get brand new starting quarterbacks and have absolutely no fucking clue how to play them. They've never seen them play in college. Matt Nagy was involved in some way, shape or form in the draft process of getting Justin Fields. I believe, probably naively, that he must have seen Justin Fields play in college, because Ohio State are on national telly in America 6 times a year, and you could probably watch all their games on his standard cable package. He then gets training camp, of which Justin Fields attends. He then eventually plays him and thinks he's Andy Dalton. Fuck off. Honestly, fuck off. Gus Bradley, you know what? No, at the moment, we can laugh all we like, but the Kansas City Chiefs are struggling when there's two safeties in the box. I don't play two safeties, I only play one. Cool, you're going to get fucking owned then. Congratulations, get fired. Join the list of people who need to get fired from this sport. Like, you have a scheme, great. Got no problem with that. Understand it. It's called base defense. It's called base offense. Fine. But if you get otherworldly players or find out an Achilles heel of a team, maybe, just maybe, you should do something about it. Brandon Staley, loving your work, right? Fantastic. Don't know if you know, like, everybody's worked out your Tampa 2, because I watched the Philadelphia Eagles run for 750 yards and you were lucky to win that game. Every now and again, get that safety. Just move him. Move him 10 yards closer to the line of scrimmage. Make him make a fucking tackle. It's not too complicated. This is not complicated. I'm not asking you to change religion. I'm not asking you as a vegan to eat cow. I'm just saying, every now and again, think about it. Look at your personnel and think, that personnel isn't going to work. Like, Nick Sirianni, we laughed at him because he did the fertilizer joke, but he looks at Jalen Reagor and he looks at the rest of those bum wide receivers and he looks at Jalen Hurts and he looks at his offensive line and he goes, you know what, better fucking run in here. Do you know why? Because we can't throw it. Because Jalen Hurts can't really throw. Well, he can to like one side of the field. And like, we haven't got anybody who can catch apart from Smith. So let's run it more. How is this like? And everyone's like, wow, what a great idea. No, this is just an idea. Like, what are you talking about? That's enough from me. Let us get on. Move on to fancy and go into fancy, darling.
Hello, darling.
Neil, better week last week, 2-1. You picked Cam Newton against the Washington football team. Wasn't as good as I thought he would be, although he was okay for his first week. 189 yards, 2 touchdowns, an unbelievable pass to Christian McCaffrey. Not sure why, much like when you used to play me at Madden and you used to do engage 8 on defense every play, that play wasn't ran 15 times. He also scored, and that was an awesome touchdown. That's a win. Adam Troutman, tight end 5 catches, 58 yards and a touchdown. It's almost like the Philadelphia Eagles can't cover tight ends. I assume that he only got 5 catches for 58 as he's out now for the next month with an MCL sprain. Yeah. You did have the Dolphins defense number 16. They only got 5 points in a loss to the Jets.
In a win,
but they lost. So you are now 15-19 on the season, Neil. Who's your first fancy darling this week?
First fancy darling this week is handsome Jimmy Garoppolo. We hate it. We don't have to like it, and many of us don't, but he's not been terrible the last few weeks. I think it's become now apparent that until the San Francisco 49ers are removed from the playoff equation, we're not going to see Trey Lance again. So it's Jimmy Garoppolo's offense. Over the last 4 games, he's averaging 22 fantasy points a game. Now, it's going slightly the other way because that was a 30-point performance against Chicago, a 22-point against Arizona, 17 and 17 in the last 2. But these are still good numbers. That means he's been up in the last 4 games, 2 quarterback 1s, 2 quarterback 2s. I think we can live with that, especially we are now entering a week where Kyler Murray / Colt McCoy isn't playing, and neither's Patrick Mahomes. Many could argue over the last few weeks people have been playing without Patrick Mahomes anyway, as someone who's now lost, was it 3 in a row or 4 in a row that I've lost in our league of record because of Patrick Mahomes? I'm not blaming you, but I am. The San Francisco 49ers are playing the Minnesota Vikings. By the way, if you haven't and you have time before the Thanksgiving festivities kick off, go back and watch the Packers v Vikings game. Justin Jefferson is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, regardless of age. And 2, Greg Olsen, terribly good at commentary.
Awesome. Really, really good.
The Minnesota Vikings, over their last 5 games, they're allowing an average of 24.4 fantasy points to quarterbacks. That's the 3rd most in the NFL in this span. And they're allowing, where are we here? Giving up 275.6 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns a game. And also, importantly, bear in mind, one of these games was against the Baltimore Ravens. They are giving up over 40 rushing yards per game to quarterbacks in this span. So, Jimmy Garoppolo, if you are in need of quarterback help this week.
I know what we're saying, and I don't want to contradict you, but the pass he missed on that 3rd and goal situation is one of the worst throws I have ever seen. And I'm not sure that Kyle Shanahan could have schemed that guy open anymore if he would have pushed all of the defensive players over to the other side of the field. Oh wait, he did do that, and he still missed. Anyway,
in the words of JT O'Sullivan, he could have punted it to him.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
He also missed.
He didn't.
Not a wide. He nearly missed a wide open Trent Williams as well. Which this is just it, Kyle. I know you don't trust the quarterback, but come on.
Who's number 2, Neil?
Number 2. They're running out of people to catch the ball in Cleveland. Because obviously Odell Beckham left. I don't know if anyone mentioned it. Jarvis Landry's hurt. Donovan Peoples-Jones is hurt. Anthony Schwartz is hurt. Kareem Hunt is coming back. So there's that. But they're going to need someone to catch the ball. And they've got a great matchup this week for one particular player, namely Austin Hooper, because they're playing the Baltimore Ravens. And the Ravens are second only to the Philadelphia Eagles in terms of how much they hemorrhage production to tight ends. So while we know that Cleveland are going to want to run the ball, I think we've established this, when they are going to have to pass it, they could look to Austin Hooper. He doesn't get a great number of targets generally, but he is one of the most heavily targeted tight ends in the red zone. And as we've said countless times, tight end catches 1 pass 6 yards. As long as it's a touchdown, there's a good chance he's going to be a tight end 1.
Austin Hooper, good player, hasn't done great. The Baltimore-Cleveland thing is weird because I don't know if you know, the next 2 games for Cleveland are Baltimore. So they play Baltimore, they then have a bye, and then they play Baltimore again. I have a regular guest, my mate Joe Valenzuela from West Texas, but supports Cleveland. He's a nervous wreck right now. So hopefully his Browns will do him proud this week. Number 3.
Number 3, I'm going to go with another defence. I know it's risky, but bear with me here. And I'm keeping it close to home, and I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles defence and special teams. They have scored at least 11 fantasy points in 3 of their last 4 games. See, these games were against Detroit, Denver, and New Orleans. They've scored a defensive touchdown in each of those games. Obviously, you can't bank on that, so it probably won't happen again, but still. The team's got a note. The players have got a nose for the ball and a nose for the end zone as well. They're playing the New York Giants. Now, I know sometimes we fear when a new guy comes in to call the plays. When that new guy is Freddie Kitchens, I'm not that afraid. We know what the Giants are at this stage of the game. We know what their offense
is.
We know what
Daniel Jones is.
Yeah. I think the Eagles can get after him. They can sack Jones. They can cause some turnovers because, as we know, he loves a fumble. The Eagles are available pretty much everywhere. So if you're in need of a defence, you might want to pick the Eagles up anyway because of the upcoming slate of games.
Let me remind you that's Giants, Jets, in Washington, who the Taylor Heineke experience is a roller coaster, but that roller coaster goes both ways, up and down. Giants again, and then Washington. So you got 3 of 4 games definitely where they could be getting you into a fancy playoffs.
Yeah.
Let's move on, Neil, and let's talk about fancy loser. no one was shocked to hear that Neil's boss are picking out losers. I was friends with him during his dating life before he met his lovely partner, so I know how that works. This last week he picked Russell Wilson, which I think is like bullying at the moment. But anyway, Russell was quarterback 19, 207 yards and no TDs, and the Seattle Seahawks are broken and weirdly somehow 3-7 and somehow in the playoff picture in the NFC. But anyway, that's more about the NFC than it is the Seattle Seahawks. Neil, you're now 7-4. Who do we have this week?
This week, I'm going to say that Dalvin Cook will finish outside the top 12 in fantasy running backs. Now, we know that Cook is generally something we can bank on, but the 49ers, they're no mugs when it comes to running backs. Over their last 5 games, they're allowing an average of 21.4 fantasy points to running backs combined on teams. Now, we know Dalvin Cook gets most of the work, but still, in this time, they've given up. They're seeing 18 rush attempts for 83.2 yards per game at 3.9 yards per carry. Averaging a rushing touchdown a game. Only less than 20 receiving yards to running backs in that time as well. I think we saw last week that when the run doesn't work, Kirk Cousins is playing well enough that he can pick up the slack, and if they can get to the goal line, they may trust Dalvin Cook there. But if you're expecting Dalvin Cook to go off this week and put up a Jonathan Taylor / Austin Eckler like performance, it ain't happening.
Love it, Neil. Love it. Let's move on and give our fancy predictions bound to go wrong. And boy did they. I said that Dalvin Cook would be running back 1 with 150 yards and 2 scores. He was 83 yards and 1. What I will say is, what I loved about it was that it's because Kirk Cousins went off, which was weird. But I did say the Vikings would win, and they did. Neil said that Nick Chubb would go for 200 yards. He went for 130. It's close. And 14 receiving yards. I was trying to get you both ways, but I couldn't do it either one. So sorry.
No.
Anyway, I add that up, it doesn't add to 200. Neil, this week I'm going to your game because I love it. And I say that Jalen Hurts has 400 yards combined rushing and passing, and 5 touchdowns rushing or passing. So like 3-2, 2-3, 1-4, whatever you want. They are going to absolutely boat race the New York Football Giants. So Jalen Hurts, big week, and almost undoubtedly QB1.
You'd be very surprised if anyone could outscore that. So.
That's what I'm saying, right? Exactly. But then again, that's like we were all watching. Not that I haven't. We were all watching the Sunday early games. No one will get close to Jonathan Taylor. Austin Eckler's like, hold my beer. Neil, your one, please.
Well, as you said, Jonathan Taylor last week, Austin Eckler last week as well. They decided, that they announced themselves that they are the stars of the running back position, especially now we don't have Derrick Henry. Well, I'm thinking in the hold my beer stakes, Christian McCaffrey is going to have something to say. He's been fantastic, as you'd expect, when he's been healthy this season. So he's going to have a massive game against the Miami Dolphins. He's getting 100 receiving and 100 rushing yards, and probably a touchdown in each category as well, and he'll be the running back 1. Love it.
Excellent, Neil. That is it for this week. Thanksgiving upon us, as Neil's already said. We wish all of our American listeners a happy Thanksgiving. Before they go, where can they catch us while they are recovering from their Turkey Day?
Well, while recovering from Turkey, you can follow me on Twitter at @ndutton13. You can see my Super Bowl betting odds tracker on Numberfire. You can read my tight end report on RotoViz. I went on the Paul Ross show on TalkSport the other night, so if anyone who heard me waffling on there and has been drawn to download this podcast, welcome. This is pretty much what we talk about.
Yeah. Less Turkey usually. I am at Mainz7. Come by me at waxing_lyrical. As I said, I host another podcast, The Touchdown Review. 5 guests last night. Long show for me. 2 college, 3 NFL, great stuff. The college guys from the college chaps are fantastic. We talked SEC, we talked Ohio State, Michigan, or as they like to define it, the game. And then we talked many NFL things. We talked a lot of Seattle, we talked a lot of Philadelphia, but they are teams in good and bad ways, so obviously the right ones to talk about. That is it for this week. As we said already, enjoy your Thanksgiving or your Thursday, whichever way it is, but there's 3 games on, so enjoy them. And until then, until next week, these top guys are out.